Man United's players ranked from best to worst this season. Manchester United have had a season to forget under Erik Ten Hag, and several star players have underperformed for their manager. Manchester United have underperformed this season, with a number of players failing to scale the heights they reached last campaign. United exited the Champions League and Carabao Cup early and are well off the pace in the Premier League, with Champions League qualification effectively out of the question. Marcus Rashford and Casemiro have both been hugely disappointing, but there have been breakout stars like Kobbie Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho. Manchester United made it into the FA Cup final over the weekend, but still managed to plunge to new lows in their Wembley meeting with Coventry City. The Red Devils needed a penalty shootout to get over the line, having blown a 3-goal lead in regulation time. Coventry were denied a famous victory when Victor Torp's 121st-minute strike was ruled out for the most marginal of offsides, and United went on to win the shootout 4-2, despite Casemiro missing the first spot kick of the shootout. It has been a thoroughly disappointing campaign for United, with very few players doing themselves justice throughout the season. Below, we've ranked Ten Hag's players from best to worst this season. The performers. Garnacho and Mainoo have shone while Onana and Maguire bounced back. Kobbie Mainoo has undoubtedly been the breakout star of the campaign for United. Erik Ten Hag earmarked the midfielder for a first-team role last summer, but a serious ankle injury sustained in pre-season delayed his arrival on the biggest stage. Mainoo announced himself at senior level with a remarkable full debut against Everton last November and has gone from strength to strength since, with memorable moments against Wolves and Liverpool on the way. Diogo Dalot has been United's most dependable defender, while Andre Onana has recovered from a horror start to his United career to emerge as one of the plus points of the season for the Red Devils. Alejandro Garnacho was in the headlines for the wrong reasons last week, but he has enjoyed a progressive campaign, with 9 goals in all competitions including braces against Aston Villa, West Ham, and Chelsea. Harry Maguire has performed consistently to salvage his reputation after a couple of seasons in which he was the team's scapegoat, while Rasmus Højlund has shown enough potential to suggest he could be a long-term fit at the tip of their attack. Scott McTominay should not be starting regularly for United, but he has proved to be a goal threat this season, with 10 strikes to his name. Bruno Fernandes has not enjoyed his best season, but his work rate is unmatched and he remains a key part of United's team. The middlers. Ahmad provided moment of the season, but has barely figured. This section is reserved for players who have not performed particularly well but also haven't disgraced themselves. Luke Shaw, Johnny Evans, and Raphael Varane have all endured injury-affected campaigns, and that is the main reason they do not rank higher up. All three are dependable performers when available, but they just haven't been available often enough. Ahmad has not featured too often, but he looked bright against Coventry and scored the most euphoric goal of United's season against Liverpool in the FA Cup. Aaron Wan-Bissaka has dipped of late to drop down the rankings, while young defender Willy Kambwala has encouraged during the early stages of his career but recently struggled against Bournemouth. Victor Lindelof, Christian Eriksen, Sergio Reguilon, Hannibal Mejbri, Omari Forsun, and Facundo Pellistri are the unnotables who make up the middlers section of the list. The underperformers. Rashford and Casemiro among strugglers. After a brilliant 2022-23 campaign, Marcus Rashford has regressed beyond recognition this term. He is still yet to reach double figures for goals, having plundered 30 last season. He was booed off against Coventry and some fans want to see him gone. Mason Mount and Lisandro Martinez shouldn't be tagged underperformers, but the amount of time they have been unavailable for this season has been so frustrating for United. Mount has managed just 674 minutes of game time, while Martinez has been on the pitch for 761 minutes. Antony, on the other hand, is a serial underperformer and perhaps the greatest Premier League flop signing of all time. Casemiro is the only player who has regressed as much as Rashford, while Sofiane Amrabat's tackle on Kylian Mbappé at the 2022 World Cup is a distant memory now. Rounding off the list of United's underperformers is Anthony Martial. A career that promised so much but delivered so little, Martial, currently injured, will never play for United again. Naming 5 players Man United should listen to offers for this summer. Sir Jim Ratcliffe's at Old Trafford could see a busy summer in the transfer market for Manchester United, with several players possibly up for sale. Manchester United have been poor this season and will need to be sensible in the summer transfer market if they are to improve this squad. With this in mind, Sir Jim Ratcliffe appears to be keen on bringing Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox to Old Trafford. The Red Devils will likely put several players up for sale in the transfer window as they look to get back to their best. This summer marks an important one for Manchester United given their current circumstances, as they fight for top 4 credentials in the Premier League. In fact, a club the stature of the Old Trafford outfit should be striving for silverware on an array of fronts. For all of their previous recruitment woes, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's arrival has given the Old Trafford faithful a glimmer of hope. Since the arrival of the boyhood fan on Christmas Eve, the club have shown promise in their moves behind the scenes, such as the attempts to land Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox. And that will, hopefully for those associated with the club, mean that player recruitment will be taken up a notch, too. As the opening of the summer transfer window edges closer, reassessing the makeup of the squad and deciding who will be exiting the club upon the opening of the trading period will be key. With that in mind, here are 5 players Manchester United should listen to offers for. Casemiro. Man United appearances, 73. Given that Casemiro is now 32 years of age, increasingly injury-prone, and not as impactful when he features, this summer could be the perfect time to part ways. During his maiden season at Old Trafford, the Brazilian was among the club's most important players, but now, he is often outshone by 18-year-old Kobbie Mainoo. Manchester United signed the veteran midfielder from Real Madrid for £70 million back in the summer of 2022 and would earn a fraction of that should they part ways. Of course, his expertise could continue to be important for the Red Devils if he remains as part of the squad, but amid interest from Saudi Arabia, listening to offers would be wise. Raphael Varane. Man United appearances, 92. Raphael Varane may have won a myriad of silverware while at Real Madrid, but he is seemingly a shadow of his former self. The Frenchman also earns an eye-catching £340,000 per week at Old Trafford, and that money could be spent elsewhere with Ratcliffe and co. looking to invest in youth at the club. Injuries have also become all too familiar for Varane, who has featured in just 21 Premier League outings this season. Valued for his experience at the top level, the club may be better off cashing in on his services with his substandard availability record becoming quite an issue. Luke Shaw. Man United appearances, 275. When fully fit and firing, Luke Shaw is one of Manchester United's most important assets and one of the best left-backs in the top flight, but his persistent injuries are a growing concern among Old Trafford circles. The Englishman has played just 1,180 minutes of football this season, but his game time, or lack thereof, is not a revelation. Since joining in 2013 for £30 million, the former Southampton prospect has become an unreliable figure when Ten Hag has needed him most. Given his age, 28, and ability, he is arguably one of the club's most sellable assets. But his asking price could continue to plummet if United hold onto the left-back for too long. Antony. Man United appearances, 75. Alejandro Garnacho has outshone £86 million worth Antony since his arrival. The Argentine has been excellent, but for what Manchester United paid for the former Ajax ace, they would have been expecting more bang for their buck, especially as that money could have been spent so much more wisely. On occasion, the Brazilian has shown glimmers of hope, but those times have come too few and far between, and his lack of output for a forward is a cause for concern. Often relegated to the bench, his £200,000 per week take-home is wasted on a player showing few signs of worth. Donny van der Beek. Man United appearances, 62. Ten Hag's arrival looked to give Donny van der Beek a lease of life in